Welcome back to another video on the MTR105. This time I'll be taking some current measurements with the unit. Now obviously the MTR105 cannot measure that directly, therefore you see the current clamps next to the units that I'll be using to make these measurements. I've got 3 AC 0 to 50 amp current clamps and a Fluke i30, I think that's 20 amps AC DC. The Keysight can measure current, but only in the microamp and milliamp range, so not a fantastic amount of use for an electrician unless you're measuring the output of current transducers, voltage transducers, those kind of instruments. The MetraHit Coil, that does have a current range built into it, all off of the one jack that has their unique protection facility in there to prevent you from swapping the leads over when you're in the current range and the voltage range. And that is 0 to 10 amps. The test setup will be with the Omicron again, which can inject easily 0 to 32 amps off of one set of jacks. I can take it to 64 amps if I parallel the jacks up. As with the voltage measurements, I will take the readings and put them into tables and plots at some point in the video for you to take a look at. So I'll get the instrument set up with the injection test set and we'll make some measurements. So this is my test setup. I've got here current coming out of current output 1 on the Omicron through to current clamps. One current clamp goes to the Keysight, which is set up in AC mode, and the other current clamp goes to the MTR105, also set up in AC mode. So this lead then goes through into the current jack input on the MetraHit Coil and then back out on common and back to the test set. So you can see here I'm set to AC amps on this. I can go to DC amps, but I cannot go, and the only two I can get, that's the safety feature of the MetraHit Coil working there to stop you from switching to a voltage range with you plugged into the current jacks of the instrument there. We're set up to inject 5 current settings, all at a 6-second interval. First one should be 500 milliamps. Switch them on, and then so that's 500 milliamps, and then we go up to an amp, and the next one will be 3.1 amps, and then 6.2 amps. And the final one will be 9.3 amps, and obviously you've got an amperage reading on the MetraHit, but you're through reading volts on the MTR105 and the Keysight. Okay, so that's that one done. So I'm just going to reconfigure things just so that I use a clamp on the MetraHit Coil as well, and then I can turn everything to low pass filter mode so they'll all be operating the same as the MTR105. So we'll go out a little bit, let's see. So in order to do this, I can take out my black lead, isn't required anymore at the moment. I'm just going to wire straight through on the test set. Put my 2 clamps over here. I've got a 3rd clamp here for the MetraHit. We'll spin him round to volts. I'll put him in there, and to get him to go to low pass filter mode, there's low pass filter, there's low pass filter on. Just reset so you can read the instruments a little bit better. Turn some lights on you, and hit the go button. So what we do see this time round is that in low pass filter mode the current clamp isn't much use on the Keysight, where it's working away on the MTR105 and the MetraHit without any problem whatsoever. And there's the final reading. Okay, so what I'm just going to do is change the configuration just that little bit more. And to do that, we're going to zoom into because this is what I think Megger should have done with the MTR105. I think they've missed a sales opportunity here. So on the MetraHit coil, whilst it's flipped to volts DC, we'll put him into AC. We'll go to measurement setup, the enter, and down here there's this function called clip. I enter that, it's currently off. I now can set a current clamp ratio on the instrument, and you see I've got the little current clamp symbol up there. This is actually a 1 to 10 clamp on here. There's the one, select him, go back to measure, and you now see that my instrument has changed to an amp reading. Change him to AC again. Put the lights back on you. We can have this just set up on the other two. We won't bother with the Keysight because we know he's not working too well. And we'll rerun tests again. And this time you can see that you're actually getting a true amperage reading using a current clamp with the MetraHit. So I think Megger could have done this quite easily in their instrument. It's just a programming function. There's 2 spare buttons in there that you can use for setting the clamp ratio, and obviously you could put the clamp function as another function after the voltage measurements. What I'll do now is reconfigure to measure some DC current, because I only have 1 clamp to do that with, so I'll have to do the instruments one at a time. I think what I'll do is all I'll show is the MetraHit with the MTR105. Okay, here's my DC current setup. You can see here the clamp measuring the DC goes straight into the MTR105 and unwired from the test set using the current DC current function from the MetraHit coil. The Keysight is currently disconnected. So I just flipped the current clamp around the other way. As the MTR105 was reading negative, it should now read positive, which it is doing. It's about 3.1 millivolts out. So I couldn't zero it very well, which is just something to remember when you look at those. Yeah, so if you had the 3.1 millivolts in offset into the MTR105 readings, that's pretty accurate actually. Okay, I will repeat that test with the U1461A, but I won't put it in the video, because what I want to do now is set up the MTR105 to see how well it can read 3-phase current. Did the voltage superb, but I'm just wondering how it would perform with 3 current clamps. Okay, I've reset the test set to try 3-phase current measurement. Each of the 1, 2, 3 phases going here, going through to the neutral line, and what I've done is put a current clamp around each cable, and then I've configured these to be in star, and I've taken 1 lead of each current clamp back to the instrument. So I've set up a 3-phase test. I'm going to inject 1 amp, 10 amps and then 30 amps. Should be balanced across all 3 phases. The current clamps are a 1 to 10 ratio, so that should be 0.1 volts, 1 volt and 3 volts being displayed on the MTR105. So hit the go button, and unfortunately it looks like that's 1 amp going in, but we don't have any millivolts. That's 1 volt and I'm on 10 amps, so that's correct. 2, 3, 5, oh, so that should be 3 volts there. Okay, that didn't work out at all, did it? No, so that's a bit of a shame. It looks like for the 3-phase readings they don't have a millivolt mode, which I guess you could understand why really. So therefore these current clamps aren't going to work. Bit of a shame, because that would have been quite good to be able to measure current balance with the instrument. Whether Megger can change the programming and put a millivolt range in the current clamp whilst you're in 3-phase, that to me would be a very good addition to the MTR105, but at the moment it doesn't look like it can do it. That's all of the current tests completed. So this time round, to me, there is a very clear winner, and that is the MetraHit Coil. For current measurements, I don't think you can get much of a better instrument, both in terms of its accuracy and its functioning. It's got the safety feature there on the input jacks, which I think is one of the best safety features out there on a multimeter. It has a built-in 10 amp range for both AC and DC, and on top of that it has a current clamp range that you can configure for 4 different types of clamps. It's got everything you need really. Then boils down to the difference between the MTR105 and the U1461A. The MTR105 using the clamps was a little bit more accurate for AC, and for motor testing that's where my preference lies. However, I think Megger have missed a sales opportunity. I think it should only be a matter of programming to build in a clamp range, certainly for single phase. It has the millivolt capability. Whether they can extend that into a 3-phase measurement as well, by dropping the ranges down to a millivolt on that and being able to use current clamps and convert it to a current reading, that would be absolutely fantastic then. But I'm going to give that second place. And the Keysight, I guess if you're into more electronic side of things, the built-in current facility on that is fine. It was more accurate measuring DC with the clamps, but was less accurate when measuring AC, so he gets into 3rd place. So that's it then. MetraHit 5 points, MTR105 3, Keysight 1 point. Thanks for watching. Hope you found it useful, and I'll see you again in another review video of the MTR105, where I think I will move on to resistance measurements just on the opposite side of the off button there.